Hello, welcome to my channel Forever Altered. Today I want to talk about the narcissistic smear campaign, and I have a clip that I want to play for you of an audio recording of basically it's a narc in the middle of rage, my narc in the middle of a rageful session in which he tells me what will happen if I decide to tell him to leave. Well, actually, I'm telling him I'm done and I'm tired of it earlier on, and his response to me is a verbal onslaught of abusive words, and then he tells me that he'll make me regret leaving, basically, or if I'm done, this is what's going to happen. So I'm going to lead in with this, and then we'll talk about the smear campaign.
Hell, okay. Especially with her. Bitch, if you keep talking to me like that, you won't get the chance to figure out what the fuck you're going to do to fuck me over.
I'm not going to fuck you over. That's
I
not
promise you.
What you think?
Quit acting like you're some hot bitch. You're not. You're a normal ass, ordinary asshole woman. Pathetically ordinary. Get over your fucking self and act like a mom. Bitch, you're 51. No, you don't. You do everything you can to stay away from spending time with her.
Nope, that's not true. I work.
Have to show you don't. That flower shop does not work. It's garbage. There is very little money coming in, or you wouldn't be saying we're out of money, and then you take my money because you don't want me to have a single fucking thing. You don't want me to have nothing saved up. You want me fucked as possible. You're a typical whore piece of shit woman. You want to blame the man every fucking time, just like your motherfucking recordings, but nobody records your fat ass, do they? And then you keep thinking you're skinny, bitch. You aren't skinny. You had skinny legs and a giant top. You still have skinny legs and a big ass top, and no tits. Quit acting like you're hot shit and I'm a piece of shit. You're a piece of shit too. You're a piece of shit too, because you're more focused on your vain shit than you are me or her.
Are you kidding me?
Fuck you. Pull your shirt up some more, old lady, with your flat ass.
You're so twisted.
Nobody's looking.
Whatever.
Nobody. And if they are, they're desperate.
Thanks, John.
Because there's beautiful girls all over. They're not going to look at you.
You're setting your number.
And you have a child, so why would they want you? Why would they want you if you have a daughter and you're old as you are and so on and so forth?
You feel better
Why?
when you tear people down.
Why? Because your whole life is living since you got your little 5 pounds missing. That means nothing. It didn't change your looks. It just made you look old. You act like you're all hot ass. Why? You think you've already set everything up to work your way, but I'm on Facebook too, and so do my sisters. If you're friends with them, then all your family will know what I tell them to say. And I'm going to make sure everybody knows exactly who you are and fuck me over in any fucking way. Any fucking way. I take care of her. I am here for you in any way you ask. Oh, fuck off. Fucking filthy, ugly whore. God will punish you soon.
No.
I promise you.
No, he won't.
Okay, so that's pretty rough to hear because that's my life. And just so you know, I lost 105 pounds. So his little twist, you're 5 pounds, which is actually kind of comical, but it really drives home how your accomplishments are nothing to the narcissist. They literally will minimize everything you do good and make it into, if they can't twist it into something bad, they will make it be so minimal that to them it's not worth mentioning. But at any rate, he ended with the whole, I will make sure everybody knows how you are. And that's the smear campaign. So once the narcissist realizes that you're done, or if they think that you're, going to be done, they want to remind you that this is how you'll go out. If they decide to move on to new supply, if they found a new supply and they're willingly letting you go, or if they're trying to keep you, put you in your place or whatever, they'll put the fear of God in you and tell you what they're planning on doing. But once they start a smear campaign, look out. They feel compelled to do it just because they need to equalize the feelings inside that are making them feel responsible for the breakup or for the ending of the relationship. So they have to blame it on you. They have to project the negative feelings onto you. And they're so rageful at this point and so angry at this point that their emotions are at an all-time high, and they need to punish you. It is their intention to punish you and to put the blame on you. The smear campaign is an effort to damage someone's reputation, to damage your reputation. It's intentional and it's premeditated, and they're always actively planning and preparing for that moment when the smear campaign begins. Keep that in mind. They are always actively planning and preparing for that moment when this smear campaign begins. All of the things you have told them, all of the secrets, all of the heart-to-heart conversations you've had, all of the worst fears, all of your worst moments, everything that you have told them, they are cataloging that information and they are saving it. Since the day they met you, they are saving it for that occasion when they decide they're done, or when you've decided you're done and they need to punish you. And they will pull it all out, and they will pull out all the stops, and their intent is to emotionally, financially, and mentally destroy you in basically a verbal warfare. And they will stop at nothing, and they are not concerned with the truth. It does not matter if it's whatever will destroy you and how they can make you pay. That's their focus. They are not concerned about the truth. They will spin everything that you have told them into something negative. I learned this early on because when I would share, parts of me, parts of my life, the first fight, he would twist it around to where what I said, he would take it in a way that I did not mean it. And the biggest example is, talking about my relationship with my ex-husband. I was married for almost 25 years. I still have very much respect and love and concern for my ex-husband. I will be friends with him until the day I die. And I think he would agree with me. We divorced because our child died. So we didn't leave with a bad relationship. And we had, of course, rough times. 25 years is a long time to be with someone. We were kids when we got together, but I had shared some heart-to-heart, some information with my narc, and one day many times, but this one particular day, he twisted it around, and he is saying, your son hated him, and you said you were miserable, and like all these things, and I'm thinking, that is not what I said. I said we went through a rough patch. I said my son wasn't that close to him until the end, when he was right before he passed away. And, there are all these different things that just, the way he slanted it was so ugly. He's done the same thing with my daughters. He slants it in such an ugly way. But the threat of a smear campaign is, it's scary. They will stop at nothing. They will contact your friends, your family. They will spread lies about you. They will, if they're good at social media, they will go on social media sites and they will, embarrass and degrade you. They will, try to get with your friends. That's one, and spread untruths about you. And if you've ever said anything like, my friend and I had a little rough patch, well, look out, because they're going to share that and they're going to put their own spin on it. And it's going to make it sound like you are a big witch when it comes out. And so they're going to basically gain their little flying monkeys by spinning the truth and making it look like you are a horrible person. They're going to, it won't just be verbal. It'll be email. If they have email addresses of people, if they have their phone numbers, they will most likely text them. They will write letters. They will target you to everyone, including your coworkers and your employer. They will, if you've ever shared anything that was the slightest bit off, about your work environment, they are going to put a spin on it, and they are going to contact your employer and try to get you fired. They just be prepared, because it is a terrible situation to deal with. My specific situation, my narc has even said things like, I know where your sister works. I know where, in other words, it won't just be you. I will take everybody down. I will make everyone look bad. I will cause you so much pain and embarrassment. I will ruin you. That's their goal. They can't just walk away, especially if you have children with them. You want to just walk away with an amicable situation where you can be respectful and they can be respectful. And I know it's possible, because I have that with my ex-husband. I know it's possible to still continue to raise children together, and even after they're over 18, and still, be respectful of each other and still be co-parenting. But with the narc, he sees you as the enemy, and then he, of course, has to become your enemy, because that's the only way to survive. So be prepared. Delete your social websites. By all means, change all your passwords, banking passwords, social media passwords, any and all passwords, Amazon, Netflix, all of that kind of stuff. Just minimize the avenues that they have to destroy you, to enact their smear campaign, and then inform your family and your friends of the possibility that they will be saying things about you. I literally quit one job because I was so tired of, this is the honest truth. This isn't what I said at the time, but the honest truth is I quit a job I was at for 9 years because I was so tired of being told that my narc was going to contact my employer, and it's always, they will know what you really are, because no matter what you are, you know what you are. But the narcissist sees you as a terrible person. They're projecting all of the negative emotions and the negative view that they have of themselves internally, that they don't want to admit that is there, but they are projecting it onto you. So, even though you've been faithful, you're a cheat. Even though you're, an average looking human being with, an average set of morals and so forth, to them you are ugly, and anyone would be desperate to be with you, and you're a whore, and all you want is sex, or all of these things. So they believe you to be a terrible person, and so now they're saying, well, everybody's going to know what you are. They're going to know you're a terrible parent, you're this, you're that. So, they believe what they're saying so wholeheartedly, and they will put everything into it. And I know my narc is extremely vindictive, extremely. I know that when he's angry at somebody, he will do whatever it takes to get even. And he's even said to me one time, he said, the feeling of satisfaction that comes over him when he gets even with somebody is huge. That he loves the high of the feeling of getting even with someone. We had neighbors that he had some trouble with. He obviously, if you're with a narc, you know that they can't get along with anybody. So every neighbor you're going to have trouble with, but a particular neighbor that we had trouble with, and the neighbor was maybe a little narcissistic too, I don't know, because he was very confrontational, even though he was small and really looked like he could be taken pretty easily. But they had altercations, and he was actually sort of egging my narc on. He did some things that any normal person would be very mad about. But when you're poking the porcupine, you should look out. And he made him mad. And he did do some writing letters to this man's wife's employer because he knew where she worked. And he did some research on them and pulled up their history of some legal problems that they had had in the past, and he wrote all of the information on 11 or 8 by 11 sheets of paper. And I didn't know this, but I didn't know it at the time, but he put those pieces of paper on the side window so that when my neighbors looked out, that's what they saw. They saw all this personal information of their personal business, legal troubles and things, and where she worked and where he worked and whatnot, all written on these pieces of paper on my big glass window that faced their house. And the curtains were closed, so I didn't know that it was there until weeks, and that they actually went and had to have or tried to get a restraining order because of it. So it's that was a smear campaign. That's what he was doing. They had gotten him angry, and so he was doing a smear campaign towards them. And the judge wouldn't give them the restraining order, protective order, even though he's had many protective orders against him over the years. Let's say several, but the judge wouldn't give them one because even though they brought pictures of the window in and so forth, so that they could show that he was intimidating them and threatening them, but I think it was because it was a two-way street in that case. But because we were neighbors, he said there's no practical way I can do that. You both live next door to each other. It wouldn't work. So, but if they hadn't been neighbors, then possibly he would have had a restraining order brought against him. But that wouldn't have scared him because he's had many of those before. But at any rate, a smear campaign, it scares you. It scares the hell out of you. In fact, the point I wanted to make also was that I think the threat of the smear campaign is enough to keep a person in a relationship, because you're so fearful that not just that it will ruin you. I mean, your good name and how you've worked so hard to be a reputable person, to have a good reputation, and you live in a small town and people know you, so it would be very embarrassing for someone to be going around spreading lies and rumors about you that weren't true. But when they also say that they will do something to damage your family or your friends or your employees or your coworkers or whatever the case may be, and that if you would just shut your mouth and toughen up and just put up with it a little bit longer, they will calm down and things will go back to normal. So yeah, I think it's partly the reason why I have stayed, because it's easier than facing the dragon of a smear campaign where you don't know where it's going to hit you. And most narcissists, mine especially, are so secretive, and so he has no long-term relationships other than his family, and even they live way far away, several states away, and they text maybe some, but they don't really have a close relationship and haven't for many, many years. So aside from family, my narcissist really has nobody. He doesn't work. He is a recluse, in fact, basically. He doesn't get out much. And so I wouldn't have anything to, if I wanted to get him back, so to speak, I have nothing. And they know that. They make sure that they are so elusive about their own life and their own, friends. Like, he has 1 or 2 friends that he's talked about, but I've never met them. I mean, he would never bring them to the house. So I have no contacts of his. He is angry because his sisters are on my social media site and can see my posts, which all of my posts are always, there's nothing controversial there. They're always appropriate. But in order for them to see pictures of their niece and so forth. But, for the longest time, he didn't want me near his family. He still doesn't want me near his family, because then I might be able to say, hey, look what he's doing, and someone might try to hold him accountable. So, at any rate, smear campaigns, they are terrible. And if you have stories that you'd like to share about a smear campaign that you've endured, or the threats of a smear campaign, and if you want to share any of that, please leave comments below. If I've said anything that rings true to you, or you would like to hear more of my videos, please subscribe to my channel, and maybe we can all work towards figuring a way out. Because I really don't think that figuring a way to help our narcissist heal and grow from the emotional damage that has been done to them is going to work. So anyway, have a wonderful day. As I said before, please subscribe to my channel, and happy Thanksgiving.